afternoon, everybody. Welcome to TED Talks Ball. Got a special Monday afternoon edition with Pedro from Niners DNA coming to us from Sydney, Australia. Pedro, how are you doing today? I guess let's start.
Mate, it's Tuesday here, but it's almost like a the game was on at 3 a.m. for me yesterday on Monday morning. I was up. I couldn't sleep. I didn't sleep yesterday. So I went to bed at like 9 o'clock. Could not sleep until the game because I was so excited. And yeah, so today I'm just really catching up on all the updates, on all the glow that I guess is from a very good opening weekend win, which I'm stoked about. And a lot of things that, I'm very happy to say that, my fears were allayed in regard to some of the stuff around Brock Purdy, some of the stuff around Kyle Shanahan. I think Kyle Shanahan has learnt some lessons. I think he has really taken stock over this offseason to look at the way that he calls, the way that he approaches games, the way that I think his conservative nature sometimes has got us into places that have not set us up for success. And yesterday proved that without that call on 4-1, maybe we don't go on and put 30 points on the Steelers. So I'm a happy man.
Yeah, and I don't know, we didn't do a lot of off-season shows, but I talked about in the off-season when we drafted Jake Moody. I was like, the thing about Moody that I like is, first of all, you can bang him from 60 plus, maybe even 63 plus, somewhere out there, 65 maybe even. I haven't seen a 65 yet, but I think it's in his wheelhouse. He's got that club in his bag if we ever do need it. But also, I like that, he would kick the kicks out of the end zone, but I also like that Kyle probably wouldn't trust him quite as much as Robbie Gould. And so he'd be more likely to go for it on fourth down. That was the thing I was saying during the game, was like, oh yeah, finally Kyle's, going for it a little more. And I loved it too. I love that it went to Kittle. I wish we'd seen more of Kittle, but I love that whole drive. Just like, started out with some design plays for Debo to get him going. The pass to Kittle, got CMC pounding it. And then of course the TD to Ayuk. So like all the big four were all utilizing that first TD drive. It was beautiful. Purdy obviously played well. I'd say he played very well yesterday. Yeah, I mean, not all of my fears are assuaged because still we haven't seen Purdy throw a deep ball. He didn't throw one yesterday. He had the nice dart to Ayuk on the second touchdown. It was about 19 yards in the air, I think, roughly around that. Real nice play, but like, come on, Pat Pete, I'm calling Pat the Pig Pete because he called the interception and of course didn't get it. He said he had seen Purdy's tendencies, didn't seem to do him any good. But Pat Pete's pretty washed. The Cards let him walk. The Vikings let him walk. Good corners don't have two teams let them walk. But yeah, I mean, overall, I titled the show. I went pretty upbeat with my title. I said something along the lines of like, Purdy melted the Steelers D or something like that. Purdy melts Steelers D in dominant performance is exactly what I said. And yeah, I mean, the O was dominant. I'd say Purdy was very good. I would say Purdy could have been great if Kenny Pickett had applied a little more pressure in the Steelers offense so that he would have had to keep pressing more into the game. Also, without the two fumbles, one which was lost and one which he recovered. The recovery was great. I mean, I love that he got the ball behind his back. Like,
he's a baller.
And at the same time, Pedro, I'm like, man, you're risking that elbow. I'd almost rather lose the ball than lose that elbow going for it especially somebody big and strong like TJ Watt. Like, I mean, what a game he had, 3 sacks. Drake Jackson tied him with 3 sacks. That's pretty freaking awesome. I was calling him Drake Saxon. I said he got the sack, then he got the part deux, then he got the hat trick, so I'm sure the French Canadians are loving me for a little bit of use of Francais there. But hey, the chat's popping, so let's get into it here. Let's say hi to some folks. But why don't you go ahead and start talking while I start?
Sure, mate. Sure. So my title of my show back here for the Sydney viewers is that this is what happens when Kyle trusts his quarterback. You could see Yeah, there you go. You could see that how free and easy Kyle was. He was very. But I think you're right. That's an insightful comment in regard to you saying that he doesn't maybe trust Moody as much. So going for it on 4th and 1, that could have been the case. But you can see that Kyle is very, very happy with Brock Purdy and is ready to give him all the things that he's pulling out, all the tricks. He's putting him in. He's getting and Brandon Ayuk. I would say, there we go. I would say that he is going. I know this. I'm going to go out on a limb here. He is going to under over 1,500 yards this season. He is going to be unbelievable. Peterson almost had 2 picks. Almost is not good enough, Randy Daytona.
No, but I did count that. I said there was 1 dropped interception.
Yeah.
And so I do count those because you count interceptable balls. Someone said, "Where's the category for dropped INTs?" Oh, there is one for interceptable balls. So
yeah. And look, that has been some of Brock's play. That has been some of the things that we have talked about in preseason about the concern that we had for him. And yeah, look, there was a couple of turnovers, but we are just loaded with weapons. We were not the same team as we were in regard to the way that we start slow. Kyle just let it rip, and it was just such a pleasure to see. I was so happy to see Brock back to where he was last year. You're right about the deep balls. He didn't throw too many, but I don't know if he has to, right? And yeah, as I just saw there, it's going to be some of the hits that he did take yesterday were very concerning. And it looked like on one occasion that he did get hit in the arm, but it was actually a tip ball. So anyway, that
scared me. That scared me too. Seeing that, I just feel like because people, during the off season, I got into it with some people about Purdy, and they're like, "Well, he didn't. It was a fluke accident against the Eagles," and I was like, "Yeah, but the warning signs were there. If you watch the replay of the Ayuk drop against the Seahawks, where he went all the way left, all the way right, stopped and got drilled right as he released to Ayuk, who dropped it." There's 2 things I've talked a lot about that play. One is the strong arm QB doesn't stop to set their feet and throw. They throw it on the run, and it's easy TD because Cody Barton doesn't recover to get his hand in Ayuk's face to obscure the ball. But the bigger part regarding this conversation was basically that, Purdy's played reckless for a long time, and it just kind of caught up with them in the Eagles game. And during that play, they're like, "Oh, whoa, buddy, slow, be careful. You took a big hit there. We need you." And they're like, "Yeah, Purdy's played like this for a long time." And, they were all acknowledging those warning signs that were there for anybody who wanted to see. And so I'm not going to blame the injury on him, but at the same time, I'm going to say that, he could have stepped up in the pocket against the Eagles. He could have thrown with more anticipation. And while he maybe wasn't reckless on that play, he certainly wasn't paying attention to the pass rusher coming from his right. And we kind of saw that again yesterday. It doesn't seem like, especially like on the strip sack, where like there's no internal clock going with Purdy. He's just standing there, and Watt comes around, and I know McKivitz didn't hold the block long, but it wasn't like he whiffed. I mean, it wasn't like he came unblocked or anything, where you wouldn't expect the QB to be having an internal clock going off. So, but no, Purdy was very good. Like I said, could have been great if not for the 2 fumbles. Could have been great if Pickett had put more pressure on him in the Steelers offense that scored more than 7 points. A lot to like, and I hope he keeps it up. I mean, I want this team to win a Super Bowl, but I'm not going to I'm happy with the win. What I'm saying is I'm happy with the win, but I'm not going to be satisfied till we take 6. That's just where I am. I think
I'm the same. We need the Super Bowl has to come this year. Well, yeah, it has to come very, 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 very soon. So, and this year being, a year that looks like it could be as close as it can be with the weapons that we have. But noticing what the Cowboys did. Now, a quick question: did Trey Lance get any time yesterday? I don't know.
I think it was all Cooper Rush in the mop-up.
Yeah, right. Yeah, look, and yeah, bottom line,
which is not to be unexpected, because it is to be expected, because Lance didn't get any reps during the offseason with the Cowboys. He doesn't know that system. It's going to take time for him to unseat Cooper Rush. He may never unseat Cooper Rush, but I can tell you the Cowboys didn't use a 4th on him for him to stay at QB3 forever. That's
Yeah.
all I would say. Not even for long, but for me, not long means till next, this time next year. I could see Lance being QB2 or higher. Never know, but we'll see.
And what about one thing about our defense? And Kenny Pickett has been quoted on it when he was doing his post-game presser, and he said, and I think it's like what do you call it when it's the most underrated comment of the year. I think I'll read it here. I'm just reading off the Athletic. I think San Fran's defense is a little bit better. That's an understatement. Than the teams that we've played in the preseason. So there was a lot of shine around. What's up, James? There was a lot of shine and a lot of hype around Pittsburgh, as you saw. From the confidence level that Tomlin had in the way that he was speaking before the game. He really broke down the Niners in terms of what they were as a football side, and Patrick Peterson doing his trash talk, but they really took the shine off what the Pittsburgh Steelers fans thought was going to be a pretty good year. Because, and again, it comes down to preseason. Kyle is a smart coach in the way that he does not show much in preseason, right? He doesn't want to show his wrinkles. He's not going to show anything new. We got a new D coordinator, and I thought the defense yesterday were animalistic. The way that they're going to kill someone one day. The way they just charge the thuds, the pad hits. Like down in Sydney, we play a game called rugby league, right? So it's same thing, body contact, men running into men, but we wear no pads, right? But I get the velocity and force in which NFL players hit each other is nowhere near as the way that NRL players hit in terms of velocity hit compared to NFL players is nowhere near it. NFL players are guided missiles, and you saw that with Fred Warner just burying Najee Harris. They put away the run game way too quick. It's funny how and I've been a critic of Kyle Shanahan in the past. If the 3 or 4 series and the run game isn't working, they just bury the run game. You can't bury the run game if you're a run heavy, if you've got a person like Najee Harris. And I think by abandoning it so early was one of the downfalls of this team getting beaten so badly. And the fact that hearing on some of the podcasts and reading around the traps I think it's Brian Canada, the offensive coordinator, saying they should have got rid of him last year from the Steelers, but could be one of the first to go during this season.
No doubt about it. A lot to unpack there. Yeah, I was saying during the season last year, it was, I think, during the Rams game when Fred got fully airborne in the tackle of the backup running back for the Rams, called him a guide Fred missile. I was chanting that yesterday. I think I tweeted it out when I was live tweeting the game a little bit. No, it's great stuff. Sim had a point. He said that Dion walked twice before signing with Dallas, just saying. So like about Pat Pete not being washed. But come on, Dion is arguably the greatest cornerback of all time. Pat Pete was never even the best of his era. And he's far from that now. I don't care what you say. Like the guy, people were saying like kind of like Sherm. He's got the knowledge, but Sherm was much better at his peak than Pat Pete. And I just don't see that. But I like that. That's a good point. But it's also a different era too. Where I think things are a little bit different now than they were then, I would say. Also, we saw the Cowboys comment. So, we're talking about Dion. Obviously, Cowboys come up, helped us to beat them in our last Super Bowl, then helped the Cowboys win the next Super Bowl after that in '96. Week 5 is shaping up to be a great game. The Cowboys just absolutely undressed the Giants last night, 40-0. They look ferocious. I've been saying I thought they might be better than the Eagles in the NFC.
Yeah.
I've got us playing the Cowboys in the NFC Championship. In fact, in my preseason predictions, and us beating them to go on and face the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. It's interesting stuff. Randy, with as of now, Purdy is better than Mahomes. Okay, statistically better, but Mahomes had nobody. He didn't even have Kelsey Kittle's every bit as good as Kelsey. Debo, Ayuk,
You
CMC.
can't cover
They're
that.
all better than any other Chief. There's just not even it's not even close. And
Linebackers
I
are
don't know
heavier,
that
so
the Lions defense isn't better than the Steelers D. Steelers obviously have TJ Watt, who is a stud, but Hutchinson's really good. The Lions really revamped their secondary. And the Steelers linebackers, quick, name a Steelers linebacker without Googling it. I said that to somebody today on the timeline, and I got in so much trouble because it was a woman, and everybody said, "Oh, you're sexist, Ted." I'm like, "Geez, I just said it last night to a man. It's not sexist. It's sports banter. Get over yourselves." I lost like over 100 followers today over this, and people block me and everything. It's just people are and good riddance. Goodbye to all of them. If you can't handle the truth, if you can't handle a little sports banter without getting your, knickers in a twist, then, good riddance.
So here's the thing on that. Can I just a little my take on that is it is ironic that they would call you misogynistic when you are very happy to treat another woman as because it's sports banner, right? So you can do it to men or women, but a misogynist would do it with only men. I'm not going to talk to women because blah blah blah, and they don't know anything. But you talk to you were happy enough to engage with a female, which the world has gone absolutely mad, and we could do another whole podcast on that. But anyway, a show
I
on
just
that.
try and stay out of politics because nobody
Yeah.
listens. And
No.
here in the States, anyway, both parties are corrupt anyway. They don't care about any of us any more than a farmer or rancher cares about their livestock. It's about that kind of relationship. So, I've just kind of bowed out of all that on the Twitter/X app, if you will.
Yeah, no, thanks. Yeah.
Daniel Berry Sports highlights in the house. Let me call out everybody who's here real quick, too. And also want to call out Silly Fungi. He was here saying go Rams, or let's go Rams. Okay, congrats on the big win against the Seahawks. I certainly didn't predict that. I think I still think the Rams are going like 5-12-ish, but maybe the Seahawks are worse than that. Also, I think both Seahawks tackles went out, Lucas and I'm forgetting the other guy's name. Abraham Lucas. Yeah. Anyway, both right and left tackle for the Seahawks went out during that game, so that could have hurt them. I mean, almost certainly hurt them. But hey, Rams won. Congrats on that, Silly. He's a great, contributor to the show, and always brings some good dad jokes, and one of the few cool Rams fans out there. But let me just real quick call everybody out. It's got Raphael 562 in the house. Got Randy Daytona in the house. Symmetry 7. We've already called out his tweets. And Randy's as well. We got Jess from East Coast Red and Gold in the house. She was there at the game. She sat right next to the Hargraves that looked like Javon's parents. So that's pretty freaking cool. Make sure you check out her show Wednesdays at 5, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5% Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Let's see what else. Silly. We got Niners Smash Massey, or Jason Niners Smash Massey. He also has a YouTube channel. Make sure you check him out. Bottom Line Sports. We already showed his tweet, but I'll call him out. James Durnall coming to us from across the pond. Daniel Berry, I think we're getting caught up here, at least on people, if not the actual chats. But did you want to run with something while I kind of read?
Well, just while you're, I think that, look, for some reason when I watch Hard Knocks, I always have a little affiliation with that team because I do love getting to know a little bit more of the fabric underneath what happens, behind closed doors. So, the Hard Knocks that we saw on the Rams, and being a person who, a Sydney guy that loves the idea of LA and has spent some time in LA. I'm not a Rams hater, but I thought that without Cooper Kupp, Stafford looked pretty good and used what was available to him perfectly. He was mobile. McVay called a good game. I think that the defense. I don't know if you saw that clip of Aaron Donald sort of coming around heels to go straight at Geno Smith, and Geno Smith's like, "Oh my God," and just quickly threw the ball away. But yeah, thinking about our division, like we're playing the Rams next week. I think we'll beat them, and I think we'll beat them well. But you know, the Seahawks were a very disappointing performance, I thought. But you're right about the tackles, and the Cardinals. Looked like the Cardinals in terms of where they are at as a franchise. So, divisionally speaking, even though that the Rams are on top at the moment because of their win in the division, I think that you can safely say, well, no, you know what? Let's not safely say. Let's play the Rams next week and see where we're at. But I think from it, I will say from it, I'll go back a little bit. I didn't think we were going to be that dominant against the Philly, right? So, I had a lot of friends down here that were saying, we'll be fine. We're gonna beat them. We'll take care of business. I was like, it's Steelers at home. It's Mike Tomlin. He's a very good coach. They're a very well coached team. They don't usually get beat in home openers, but so maybe I should have more confidence in my own team and say, yeah, look, the division could be ours.
Yeah, no, I think so. I'm very bullish on the 49ers in the NFC West. I'm bullish against any team. If Purdy's healthy and playing well and the team's relatively healthy. But I just think it's gonna be tough to stay healthy with our travel schedule and our tough schedule to be as healthy as we were last season when Purdy did well. But hey, Purdy could improve. It looked like he'd improved a little bit yesterday. Like again, I said, we didn't see any deep balls, but the short and medium stuff looked really impressive, at least in the first half. In the second half, I think he went 1 for 8, which is not ideal, but we already had a big lead. And so it's hard to get two after him when you got like a three, score lead or whatnot, two to three score lead for most of the second half. Real quick, I want to call out Tony from the locker room rant. He says Geno Schmidt. I like that. I wonder if he's on voice to text. I don't think so with the exclamation point. So I'm not sure I get the Schmidt reference.
I think he's talking about like he was quite scared.
Like what about Schmidt? Was that the movie or something like that?
No, I think in terms of when you get scared, sometimes you can do certain things. Your bowels can move.
Oh, okay, SHI. You know what?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah. That's what I'm thinking it is, because in the way that he was, it's so funny. Oh my God, when Donald was chasing him down.
Yeah, okay, sorry. Yeah, Aaron Donald's he's a menace. There's a reason he was the highest paid before Bosa. He and TJ Watt, Bosa, Myles Garrett. These guys are all game wreckers. Chris Jones from the Chiefs, who was also out. Along with Kelsey being out when they lost to the Lions. That was the only thing that gave me the confidence to pick the Lions straight up. And I didn't even do it on the timeline. I did it in the chat of Ryan from No Border Sports show. On the timeline and in my own show, I said I like the Lions and the points. But then, on his show, he said, pick a team. I said, I'm picking the Lions straight up. So
yeah, nice.
So we Flo from Bottom Line Sports says my over under on the they make special packages for Trey as 10 plus plays this season, kind of like how Kyle did in 2021 at the beginning before the locker room overruled them. It'd be interesting to see if the Cowboys room tries to overrule Mike McCarthy, and if he even listens to the locker room. I always say good coaches should not be let the tail wag the dog, if you will, when it comes to that. But nonetheless, we'll see how that plays out. It's interesting. We'll put you down for that flow and see. I wouldn't be surprised. But again, I don't want to spend too much time talking about Trey because he is a Cowboy, and I'm pretty much trying not to ever mention Trey again unless he's brought up, and that's sort of been my policy. So I'm going to try to avoid that. It may slip out here or there, but for the most part, I'm just like, he's gone. And, I find a lot of people, when they want to prop up Purdy, they do it by trying to tear down Trey. I tweeted about that today. I'm like, look, he's gone. There's no need to bring him up anymore. Find some other QB to talk about that Purdy's better than, because I don't think you'll find any in the top 10. Now, granted, he did have, I guess, the best QBR this week and top 5 stats, but that doesn't make you the best QB or the top 5 QB. That means you're in Kyle's system with the best weapons. And I say if you're top 5 with the best group of weapons in Kyle, you're not doing it right. You're underselling. You're not living up to your potential. So You need to be top one if you got the best weapons in Kyle. I mean, O-line could be blamed a little, obviously, especially the way McKivitz played. And, I caution people all offseason, like, McGlinchey, as much as people hated him, he's better than McKivitz. I'm sorry. He's a better run blocker, and I think he's as good of a pass blocker. But, we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. It's one game. It's TJ Watt. He's arguably the best pass rusher in the NFL. So we got to give him a little leeway for that. But we'll see how it plays out throughout the rest of the season.
One thing about Brock and everyone talks about this, so this is nothing new. He is unflappable. He is very confident. He's got a bit of sass about him as well. Did you see him yell at Kyle that he couldn't hear?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, he couldn't hear what was going on. The mic must have broken out. But he's yelling at the sideline. I can't hear. I can't hear. So when he's doing it with he's doing it with some sass in his voice, and I think so. Debo mentioned it last year when Brock called a timeout. So that's what I like about Brock. He's his own guy. He's not the tallest man in the world. He's not the biggest quarterback in the world. He's got a big caboose and a big rear end. But he's unflappable. His decision making is good. He's what Kyle needs and what Kyle wants. And so if he's getting us wins like that, I'm really, 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 really happy.
No doubt about it. Yeah, me too. I mean, I'm rooting for him. I really like Purdy a lot. People call me a hater. I'm not a hater. I just, even if I really like you, I'm not going to lie for you. I'm not going to say you're something you're not, or that my opinion is different. The people are like, oh, you state your opinions like they're facts. I'm like, that's what people with sport takes do. Especially if you're right a lot. And I feel like, I don't toot my own horn, but it's not often that I'm wrong. I'll just say that. Real quick, Sim was saying that we disguised our looks, or Wilkes did, and he said that he was just, let's see here. James said he knows a lot of disguises too, and Sim even said he was trying to guess what you're running and he was totally fooled, and that means something. Sim is a student of the game, so that's some high praise. Watt is nasty at times. The entire stadium was behind just him. Well, that's about all they had to root for yesterday was TJ Watt. He's about the only guy who showed up. I mean, even Minka was kind of a no-show. Yeah. Even Highsmith, who had 14.5 sacks last year, he didn't do a lot. TJ Watt was about the only Steeler that showed up, in my opinion. But you were there, Randy, I guess it sounds like, at was Acrisure / Heinz Field, whatever they're calling it.
Yeah, I love that. I'd love to have been there. And there was a point I was going to make around our linebackers for a second there. But it'll come back to me. But I agree, VT. I like Lions. I like the Lions. I think they've got a very passionate coach that they want to play for, and that's half the battle when you're a coach. If you've got a playing roster that wants you that want to play for you and win for you, then you've won half the battle.
Yeah, I like Dan Campbell. I've always liked Dan Campbell, biting the kneecaps. He just seems like a good, tough dude. Some people say he's a meathead, but hey, it's working. So at least they got the offense going last year. It seems like they made some good changes to the defense for this year. That's why I picked the Lions to win the North. However, I picked the Bears as a wild card, and it didn't look so good against Green Bay yesterday.
I picked Green Bay. I think that, unfortunately, Justin Fields is not the quarterback that I think we all thought he was, unless he's just a victim of being in a bad franchise. And
Packers D is pretty good, though. I mean, they have the best corner in the NFL, in my opinion. I'm totally blanking on his name right now, but I like the Packers D. They got some good pass rushers.
But Jordan Love's a good quarterback. He sat for quite a while, and I think he's quite good.
There you go. I am not a believer, but I didn't really get to watch the game yet, so I'll have to take a look and see.
Have a look. I think
I don't know how good the Bears D is after losing Roquan Smith and Robert Quinn last year. I don't know. We'll see. I guess we'll see as they play on. But I mean, he won, so they got that.
Yeah, that's
I'm not a big QB wins guy, but they mean something.
That's what I was going to say before. Is that a lot of the comments I was watching the Mike Tomlin press conference. He's quite a sassy dude, old Tomlin. Some of the comments were that everyone should give their game checks to TJ.
Yeah, I think so too. He was the only dude who showed up. Sim says if anybody else talks about Trey, they're getting fined for tampering from here on out. There you go.
Yeah,
I'm with you. Like I said, unless he's brought up, I'm not going to ignore it if he's brought up, but I will not be bringing Trey up myself. At least I'll do my darndest.
Yeah.
It says, Sim, I saw a cover 3 look that turned into man blitz. Where I thought they're coming from, but by not telegraphing our defense anymore, are we going to get a lot more takeaways if we stay disciplined? I think so. I think that's fair. I mean, we got 2 picks yesterday, so that's a good start.
I'm going to have to look a bit more into Wilkes because, that's really interesting to hear that he's doing a lot of that disguise because he was a cornerback, a secondary specialist, wasn't he?
Who was what?
Steve Wilkes was a secondary specialist, right?
Yes, with the Panthers most recently, and just I think he was at the Browns before that.
And so I guess what I'm saying is that I have to look a bit more into him because I really like the fact that he's disguising some looks in the secondary because a lot of the if you looked at last year, a lot of the deep balls were a lot of the like especially Mahomes. When we threw deep, we're getting cooked quite a lot. Our safeties, even though Talanoa Hafunga's quite good. Who's our other safety? Is it Oren Burks or Gibson? Yeah, not as mobile as he could be, and we're getting cooked a little bit. And so if he's disguising some looks to take away some of those speed deficiencies by I'm not saying Talanoa Hafunga's got a speed deficiency, but Gibson, I think, does. That's fantastic. That's another thing. That's another, club in our bag, another feather to our cap in what is a complete football team.
There you go. Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, luckily we've got Jair Brown on the come up, so we'll see. Brant Culp in the house. He said he subscribed, I believe, to your channel. I think he was already subscribed to mine, but hopefully that was Niners DNA he's talking about. He said every sub helps. We got Steve-O Supremo in the house. He says, he's stealing one from Rich Kelts from the Kelts Chronicles. That's one. He also likes to say there's levels to this. What is he? He says, I'm good off that. If he doesn't like something, he's like, I'm good off that. So instead of good on that. He says every sub counts. That's very true.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you.
Bryant says Packers
the season for love.
Oh, I don't know. We'll see. I'm still not a huge believer, but like I said, he had some good stats yesterday, and like I said, I haven't had a chance to look at the film. I never thought Seattle was good. Easy for me to process. Yeah, I mean, Gino, when they went on that run after we beat them in Seattle last season, they beat, they talk about a murderer's row. It was like the antithesis of a murderer's row. It was like parking citation row of quarterbacks that the Seahawks beat to make the playoffs. So I had some doubts about them. Also, keep in mind with the Seahawks, so not only did they lose both tackles during the game, but prior to the game, their star, cornerback, well, I shouldn't say star, but their highly drafted top 5 pick cornerback, Devin Witherspoon, was ruled out for the game. So not exactly their full strength. And, early in the season, weird things happen week 1, especially with so many teams not playing much in the preseason, not playing their stars and superstars much or at all in the preseason. Week 1, is not exactly the thing to, go off of 100% for what you'll see for the rest of the season. So that's why I'm being a little reserved with the 49ers. I believe in the D. I believe in the O2, just not quite as much. So I did think Seattle were good. I just thought they're a damn sight better than the Rams. I didn't think they were good. Well, and they may be. Again, that's we'll see. So I can see that Rams are pretty good. Hold on that rival. Yeah, the Rams do have ownage on the Seahawks. Traditionally, we've had sort of a rock, paper, scissors situation in the NFC West where until last year when we swept the Seahawks 3 games to 0, they were 17-4 against us under Russ. The Rams own the Seahawks and we own the Rams, so it's just this three-way ownage within the NFC West. So the Rams just continued what they've been doing. That's another reason to discount what you saw yesterday, beyond the injuries and people who didn't even suit up. Yes, Wilkes was a secondary coach for years. Oh, am I that far behind? That's a specialty. I guess I'm not. Wilkes.
Sorry to interrupt. Has anyone listened to? Has Shanahan done his conference call yet? Has anyone out there heard it anymore? Is there any more injury updates? I know that it was. Sorry, go.
There almost always are. I mean, especially like I think tomorrow will be practice, so we'll find out more before or after practice tomorrow on Tuesday. Right. But yeah, we'll see. I haven't, like I said, I don't think I hit my home tab on X Twitter all day. I was so busy with this blood feud I was in, trying to defend myself as not being a misogynist or sexist. Anyone who knows me knows I'm not. It's just ridiculous. But not everybody knows you on social media. A lot of people think they do, but most people don't.
So Mayoko has just tweeted, Kyle Shanahan said the 49ers had no injuries coming out of yesterday's 30-7 victory over the Steelers.
Oh, that's even better news than the win almost.
So, I mean, is that unbelievably...
I was really worried when I saw Trent Williams leave the game favoring his right wrist. And I tweeted that out. That scared the bejesus out of me.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the hell are these guys doing in the game? Pull them. Pull Purdy. Pull CMC. Pull Trent. Why are they in the game so long, Kyle? Why? The game was decided long before. I think Darnold got one snap. I mean, like I said, I never want to see Darnold if we need Darnold, but I definitely want to see him if we don't need Purdy,
I know, especially with his, they want to deload his arm. They want to CMC. It was almost like he wanted to go back on in some instances. But, he shouldn't have been used as, I think, same Kyle put Elijah in for 2 or 3 runs. He only made 4 or 5 meters, but you got to give him, it's like any play, give him some time to warm up. I think that we need to lessen, if he's going to play like 60, 70 snaps a game, I don't even know if that's possible. Is it?
Yeah, no, it is.
That's it's just too much. It's too much. It's too much. He's gonna be like, that was his biggest yardage day yesterday. His biggest rushing yardage yesterday since 2019.
There you go. Sim says, remember when we had a solid D in place right before Fangio came in and took it to another level? That was with Harbaugh. Fangio and Greg Roman took over for Singletary's regime in 2011. Again, let's not do backflips because we beat Kenny Smallhands Pickett. And I think there was some rain, at least in the forecast, and I don't think the field was completely dry. But nonetheless, I mean, so far it looks like that. I'll say that. I'm just saying, looks can be deceiving week 1. So let's keep it going, 49ers. Let's not be complacent. Let's keep driving. Not today. Yesterday it was just Ambry.
But what I have liked about what I saw.
So wait, Ambry was injured yesterday?
Yeah, he had concussion.
Oh man, okay, I missed that.
But he's okay. So they thought it was from a spotter up in the stands, like they've got, but he was cleared, so he's fine.
Oh well. But that's happened before. People are cleared, and they've even come back in. Hufanga came back in the game, and then the next day they're like, "Oh, he's in the concussion protocol." So I think they'll be cautious with that. That could mean Ambry won't play against the Rams at Levi South this weekend. We'll see. That'll be interesting to monitor. I think the average for concussion protocol is 8 days. So average would say if it does enter the protocol, that he probably won't play in the Rams game. But fingers crossed, knock on wood, hopefully he's safe. And then secondarily, hopefully he can play next weekend. Safety always first. I'm worried about Trent, about his hand, his wrist, or just holding up for the season. Yeah, tell us why. No injuries. Thomas passed concussion protocol. Well, yeah, sometimes that happens though, and sometimes they go back in it. So we'll see. We are now 20-30 versus the Seahawks. 20 and 30. Okay, so we're catching up. That's good. So after this season, we'll be 22-30 or 23-30. So that's good. I like that. We're, catching right up.
What we should rotate soon as well. Yeah, of course. We got to. That's just it's common sense, and that's what a lot of us don't understand. I think sometimes with it, but I mean, a coach's purview is that you keep your best players on the field, I guess. So.
I mean, some people are arguing like, hey, there wasn't much preseason action, so we got to get them ready for next week. But I'm like, hey, they'll be much more ready for next week if they're healthy.
I'd rather have them healthy. Next week? I haven't even checked. So I watch on the Game Pass went to DAZN or DAZN as they say, DAZN. Is it a late game or is it an early window or late window?
Next, I'm sure it's at 1:00 if it's in LA. So that's West Coast. Yeah, there's no reason to put it at the early slate when both teams are West Coast.
Playing that means
I would be shocked if it wasn't 1:05 or 1:20, 1:15, 1:25, somewhere in that range.
You know what? I'm just going to check it out.
Yeah, go for it. And then Ted is an equal opportunity hater and lover of everyone. It's a delicate balance of good and evil. You got to have your yin to your yang, your zig to your zag. People are like, oh, you should be respectful to everyone. And I'm like, you know what? Some people are not worthy of respect. And they're like, well, why do you talk condescending to everyone? I don't talk condescending. I talk condescending to people who don't watch games or don't understand what they watch. So if you're casual, be warned. I might, bite your head off. I'm sorry. Like, it frustrates me when people come at me and I'm just like, you're just this is asinine. These are just ridiculous statements. So yeah, if you come at me with ridiculous statements, I will be condescending to you. If you come at me with intelligent stuff, I'll be intelligent back. Even if I don't like you, I'll still show you respect. So it has nothing to do. The other part doesn't have to do with being liked. It's just I just get frustrated dealing with people who don't know what the hell they're talking about, acting like they're a freaking authority or acting like I'm not. And I'm sorry. You can say what you want. I've said I'm an expert. I'm a self-proclaimed expert. Fine, whatever you want to call it. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm doing this, because I think my takes have importance. I think I know what the hell I'm watching. I think I watch a lot. I watch a lot of film, and I listen to a lot of smart people. And I don't like, listen to a smart person and go, well, I'm just going to do what they say. I listen to everybody, and I make my own opinion based on that, based on what I see, mostly based off the eye test.
Yeah. I agree, man. That was one of the reasons why I started seeing your takes on Twitter. This was like, a couple of years ago when we developed a relationship over on Twitter because, I did like your takes. And, but the other thing that was good is that you pulled up some of my receipts on some of the stuff that I said that was wrong, remember? And just, and you sent me a message saying, look, it's all good, man. Like, but I've got to call out when I think people are wrong, which I think that's a good way to be. Like you can't. If there was a saying, and I think it was by one of those, if you don't have any enemies, then you have never stood up for something that you believe in.
Exactly, and you're gonna make enemies. And the thing is on that app, you're also gonna make friends by just be yourself and quit worrying about who follows and whatever. Just like the followers will come if you have good takes. That's what I found. And I can't worry about people following or not following or blocking or muting, because probably other people will follow and want to hear what I have to say. So that's the way it works. And what are you going to do? Yeah. Tony says, I don't understand Kyle running CMC into the ground. Yeah. Kyle, there's no off switch with Kyle. He's go. And there's no idling. There's no like, let's put in Mitchell. I mean, there was a little Mitchell towards the end, but certainly no JP Mason, no TDP.
No, I think what you said there was right. Was in regard to him he didn't have any. He needs some game time fitness. Game time fitness is important. So maybe that was it.
Yeah, that could be. Steve says they called Ayuk first TD on Bashar and called Turner over right before it happened. I don't know what
turnover.
Turnover. Oh, interesting. Nice, Steve-O. Like it. Let's see. Sim was saying Ambry was called in concussion protocol and was cleared. If he doesn't practice, then it's a concern. Yeah, that happens sometimes, though. James saying, Steve-O, I was expecting rain. I had 2 rushing TDs. Yeah, I mean, the forecast got better and better and better, and I tweeted it out, basically saying, looks like, I mean, at one point it got down to a few hours before, it was like 20% during one of the hours, and that was it for the game. I definitely never saw any, or never heard him talk about it. So, Frank Talmotion in the house. What's up, Frank? Says, sorry if I missed it. Ted, did I see your boy smash Bosa? My boy. Well, first of all, I don't have any boys.
Oh, hang on. He was pancaked. He was pancaked in the game. I remember that. Well, not so much pancake, but he was knocked off his feet backwards.
Okay.
I don't know if you'd call it a pancake, but he was hit, and the commentators the commentators were taken aback. They're like, whoa, that's kind of that's a thing. Maybe it was TJ.
Especially when he gets double and triple teamed.
Couldn't have been TJ. Sorry, my God. What am I thinking?
But I don't know who's supposed to be. People say Trey Lance is my boy, but he's gone, so I really don't care about him anymore. But I'm not sure who you meant. It must have been a Steeler if he said your boy smashed Bosa. Anyway, all right, elaborate, Frank. Let us know what you're talking about there.
Could have been Peterson.
Oh, interesting. Pat Pete. Well, no, the Pat Pete plays defense, and so does Bosa.
Yeah, that's right. Jimmy's. Oh, did you? I was watching.
All he knows is win.
I know, right? So
Jimmy. Hey.
He went down on the set in the first series. He couldn't fight. He did the happy feet. He was doing it super early. He was doing it on the first series, and he ran for a first down. I think he got the first down, but he dived and got bailed up by one of the linebackers or a safety, and it looked like he was concussed. Had to go off the field. He didn't look good. I was like, man, if this guy is injured, he is just going to be laughed off out of the league. But he came back and led him to a win. He ran for that first two. He ran for that first down that got them, that pretty much was enabled them to have to start taking a knee. So you know what? He won again. Oh, Jimmy G.
Yeah, he beat the 5-win Denver Broncos from 2022.
Yeah.
We didn't have Jerry Jeudy and I don't know who else, but hey, whatever. He got a win. Good for him. Good for the Raiders. We'll see how long it holds up.
Interesting
Randy
onside kick.
Giving us the yin yangs. Sorry, go ahead.
Interesting onside kick from Sean Payton to dial up on that first play of the game.
Oh, I didn't see. So
that pancake on Bosa was bad. He looked so. He did. That shit isn't happening next week. Light of fire. If you could tell us who it was, James, I'd be interested to know, because I did notice it, and the commentators noticed it, and I guess everyone noticed it. But yeah,
this is to be expected with Bosa. He barely got any reps in the offseason. Yeah. You can be in the best shape possible. It still takes weeks to get into football shape, so don't be surprised if Bosa still isn't himself this Sunday at Levi's South. I don't know if I'd say snuff like a Suggle Bear, but keep in mind he's also getting double and triple teamed, which opened up, Armstead and Hargrave and Drake Saxon to get those sacks. A lot of that is because of all the attention that went to Bosa. So even if he didn't show up on the stat sheet, you can bet that the Steelers' offense was taking him into account and diverting a lot of attention his way.
Now, what do you think of this? Is Debo? I don't know how many targets Debo got yesterday, but for me, the luster has gone from Debo with CMC being on the team and Brandon Ayuk being such a better receiver.
Brandon Ayuk is a better route runner, but the Steelers corners are not good. Their best corner is Pat Pete, who's washed. They let Cam Sutton go. He's a Detroit Lion now. They got Minkah Fitzpatrick, but I don't think the other safety is any good. Who knows who he is? So in a normal game, they're going to lock down Ayuk a lot better, and you're going to need Debo to get those yards. So let's not read too much into one game. I mean, Ayuk had a great game. He had a great camp. I'm expecting to see a lot from Ayuk this year, but I still think Debo is the more important player to this offense, especially if Christian McCaffrey ever, knock on wood, ever gets injured or anything. We hope that
Yeah,
doesn't happen.
yeah, that's a good point.
So Frank Tom Ocean says it was Darnell Washington who pancaked Bosa. And didn't you like that tight end?
We
Yeah,
did.
he
We
was my
did.
draft crush. That's who
Yeah.
I wanted instead of Latu. And, I don't know. And whoever else you needed to move up from 102 to 93 where he was picked. I think it was a huge mistake not drafting Darnell Washington. Also, we picked Jair Brown ahead of him, too. I think that one probably will make sense, but the jury's still out. And obviously, Moody was perfect, so thank goodness for that. Bryant Culp celebrate. I'm sure he was really happy. For those who don't know, on Bryant's overlay for his YouTube channel, he has Jake Moody at all four corners. Just real quick, I want to call out Nancy Cameron in the house. Thanks for joining, Nancy. Appreciate you being here. Sean John's here. He said, I'm just here to hear how mid Brock is from Ted. Brock is mid. He had a very good game on Sunday. So I wouldn't say he really looked mid on Sunday, especially since part of that was like getting way up. But I didn't see anything that looked tremendously better than last year. And I said he was mid last year. So I'm sticking with that until I see like some deep threats or some deep completions thrown and completed. There were no throws, let alone completions. He had the 2 fumbles. He was 1 for 8 in the second half or in the late stretch of the game. So I still think Purdy's mid, and that's freaking high praise for a rookie QB. And he's not a rookie anymore, but he could get better. I'm not saying he can't get better, but I haven't seen it yet. I haven't really seen him improve. Yesterday a little bit, but we'll see if I want to see consistency.
So just getting some latest news in from The Athletic.
Yeah.
Christian McCaffrey, 58 snaps. So that's a lot. Elijah Mitchell got 10, which I thought was more than Talanoa Funga. That's weird. Samuel got 58. Ayuk 58 snaps. Juan Jennings didn't even get a ball yesterday. Ronnie Bell got 7. Ray-Ray McLeod 3. George Kittle 47 snaps. Warner and Ross Dwelly got in a bit of a scuffle. Brendel, I'm not a big fan of Brendel. I don't know what you're thinking of.
Too many penalties and not a very good run blocker last year, but he was a good pass blocker. So, and but the thing with Brendel is like, it's still TBD for this season. Like everything in the middle of that line would have looked a lot worse if Cam Hayward hadn't pulled his hamstring. I think it was in the first half. It was fairly early in the game.
Yeah, it was.
He pulled his hammy, and that's one of the 4 studs on literally the Steelers D. And this is what I got in the argument about today when I said, name a Steelers inside linebacker, name a DB, not name Minka or Pat, the pick Pete who's washed. Their D is basically cheeks, except for 4 guys. You got TJ Watt, arguably the best edge, or Bosa in the NFL, maybe Micah, maybe Myles Garrett. You got Alex Highsmith on the other side, is the 10th highest page edge in the league, 14.5 sacks last year. You got Cam Hayward, who's a D end, but in a 3-4, that's like a nose tackle, or maybe he is a nose tackle. And then you got Minka Fitzpatrick, and the rest of that D is not that good. You got Larry Ogunjobi, who's highly paid. I don't know how good he is. The Bengals let him walk, so I don't think he's that good. You don't let a Aaron Donald or a Chris Jones or real impact defensive tackle walk. So I don't fully believe in Larry Ogunjobi. I'll just say that. But I'm not complaining. I'm expressing doubts about the future. I'm happy with the win, but I won't be satisfied till we take 6. So just to expect this is going to be the same thing all season. I will celebrate the wins. I root for our team. I am a fan, but I'm not delusional, and I'm not going to lie. Even if I like somebody or if I root for them, it's not going to cause me to say something different than what my opinion is. So if you want the truth, come here. If you don't, then block me or mute me and get on with it.
I don't. Where's the complaining? I don't know where the complaining comes from.
Because I poke holes in the Steelers defense. They're saying that's complaining. It's just saying that the Steelers are not a Super Bowl team, people. They barely made the playoffs last year. They lost a lot of people on defense. They lost some O linemen. They lost. I mean, they got Darnell Washington. I liked him in the draft. That doesn't make him my boy, though. By the way, Frank.
No,
I mean,
no.
I don't really have a boy. If I had a boy, which I really don't, it'd be Kittle. He's my favorite 49er. That's the closest thing I have to a boy as an NFL player, or someone like a hero. People say he's your hero. Like, my heroes are not NFL players, it turns out. I love the NFL, but I don't love NFL players and not individuals. I love the Niners and I love the NFL. But my heroes, do bigger and more important things with their lives. I'll just say that. So I'm surprised Dwelly didn't get ejected. Fists were flying.
Yeah, no, that he was pumped up. There was something going on there, and again, it was what is James? Correct me if I'm wrong. Was it after a punt return from the Steelers? Because that was one part of special teams, or one part of the overall performance of this team that wasn't so good. There was at least, I would like to see the stat on how many yards Pittsburgh did make on their punt returns, because it was a problem yesterday for us.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, no, it was kick returns too. There were a few they gashed us on out to the 35.
Sorry, kick returns, not punt returns, kick returns. Yeah, there was they were making at least 20 to 30 yards.
Yeah, it was a lot. And Sean John, just to let you know what to expect, like, I'm not really going to be too impressed by any wins this season other than like Bengals, Cowboys, Eagles. Like, those are the only three that I see as true Super Bowl contenders that we play this season. All the rest, they all have warts, either a little or a lot. Seahawks, just because they're a bitter division rival. We'll see. And if they get to be what I thought they would be preseason, we'll see. But as of now, those are the only three wins on this entire schedule that I'll be like happy about, winning. Because like I said, it's take six or bust for me this season. So like beating a bunch of teams like we do every year just doesn't really mean much to me anymore. I'll celebrate them. I'm happy, but I'm not going to be overjoyed and just like, oh, everything's great and there's no problems. If I see problems or potential.
So there's a comment here from Lombardi on The Athletic about Fred Warner's hands. He learned to juggle in the off season. One critique: Warner spent a portion of every practice this summer learning how to juggle. Linebackers coach Johnny Holland.
He dropped that pick, didn't he?
That's right. I thought Warner and Greenlaw let some interception opportunities slip from their hands last season and figured juggling would remedy the issue. Hasn't. So let's read what Sean John's got to say here. If I play like this or even slightly better and consistently, would any of this limitations to focus on matter, since you seem so stuck on physical potential? Well, what I will you will have your say on this, but what I will say is that when you looked at the Lions game and Patrick Mahomes needed to get down the field really, really quickly and score a touchdown, he did it in 2 plays. I don't think Brock's got that. Well, sorry, Brock doesn't have that in him.
He doesn't. Those clubs are not in Brock's bag. The really big deep throws, the throws with zip into tight coverage, and the off platform throws with zip. He can throw off platform. He can throw into tight coverage, but they're like loopers. They're not lasers. So they're rainbows, and that's fine. But just don't say it's something that it's not. And yeah, I mean, if this team can stay healthy and Purdy can play like he did in 2022, I don't think there's any team that can beat us in the NFL. I'll say that. But I just don't see either of those things necessarily happening. We were super healthy to enter the 2022 playoffs, other than QB, but Purdy was healthy. And if he had stayed healthy, we wouldn't have missed Jimmy or Lance, Trey, and E-Man. And Lenore played really well, arguably better than Charvarius Ward. So I don't think we really missed E-Man much, So I don't think we'll be that healthy this year. I think we're going to need more from the quarterback position, and hopefully Purdy improves and can deliver it, because I know Darnold won't, and we all know the other option isn't an option anymore.
Yeah,
I won't even say his name. There once was a man from Iowa. He was mid. He was a kid, but what a processor. They told him he wouldn't be ready. He smiled and was Brock steady. He gets to cash big stacks. Now he gets to cash big stacks.
No, mate, not for another 3 years.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like, if he keeps playing, let's just say he doesn't improve. Are you really willing to hand him like what's it going to be, 60 million a year by then?
Kyle will. Kyle definitely will. Kyle loves him, and I think that's the best part about this relationship between these two is because Kyle trusts him. When Kyle trusts his quarterback, the sky's the limit, and it won't be big chunk plays down the field when you need to in 30 seconds. But they will disguise, dink, dunk, take the energy out of the other defensive system because of the way that they run the ball, pass the ball, and that's complementary football. That's a good way to play the game. But that's that's the extent of which we will win, and I'm happy to win like that. But yeah. When Kyle loves him, then we're in a very good place. But yeah, don't tell us that I think getting on us about saying that he's mid, that we think he's mid, that's. I think we're getting too stuck on a take that doesn't really need to be focused on. All that needs to be focused on is that we're playing complementary football. And with Kyle trusting his quarterback, we don't need the big chunk plays. But when we do need them, they're not going to be there. So when that happens, don't complain, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, take your lumps. Ted, you're just fighting with everyone on Twitter for no reason. That's hilarious. The truth is just opinions. Okay. I mean, but except for when my opinions become right, they're the truth. And when they become wrong, I'll admit it. I'll say I was wrong, or my bad, or good point. You can look it up. It's all out there on the timeline, but it doesn't happen very often. So that's why I consider my opinions like facts, because most of the time they are. But we'll see. We'll see. Time will tell, as the wise man said. Tony was saying, why do I get the feeling that Ted's hero is someone like Winston Churchill or General Montgomery? I definitely like Winston Churchill. We have nothing to fear but fear. Or was that, maybe that was Roosevelt. But Churchill held it down while we got our act together and finally got into the fray. So, we might all be speaking German if it wasn't for Winston Churchill. So, or Japanese here in the States. So,
yeah.
Churchill's definitely a hero. I think I like that. And I'm an old fart, so I was almost old enough to remember Winston Churchill. Deshaun John said, Ted, you're very disrespectful. Then these are pros. Any given Sunday, bro. Call me what you want. I'm just unvarnished truth. People said be yourself. That's what I'm doing. So
I don't understand the disrespectful thing though. Like, why is it disrespectful?
Well, maybe when I said that the Steelers were cheeks other than four sort of studs on that defense, I don't know. Who knows? I mean, people have their opinions. That's fine. I'm happy. If you have a dissenting opinion, I'm happy to read it. I may not agree, but I'll read it. And gradually over time, you may chip away and I may actually change my opinion. It does happen from time to time. I mean, it happened with Jimmy G and it's happened with Kyle. So, I've had two pretty notable flips in my about 4 year. It'll be 4 years this November since I created my football only Ted H6 account on Twitter. So Randy says it's William Wallace. There you go. Braveheart. Love that. That's a great movie for sure.
Great movie.
Yeah. They may take our lives, but they can't take our freedom. Yeah, I like that. You should always respect your opponent, Ted. Look past them, and that's how you get beat by lesser teams. Well, we beat a lesser team Sunday, and that's great. That's what I said in my article, that they're a lesser team. And they certainly looked like it on Sunday, especially their offense just did not look very good. Actually, neither did their D. Let's be honest, their whole team just looked like the exact opposite of everything we've been told about this juggernaut week 1, 15-1 in opening days in the last 16 years. Well, now they're 15-2.
I get what Sean's saying in terms of respecting your opponent. Yeah, look, I think there's a respect there, and you always got to respect your opponent, because if you don't, you are going to get beat. You can't go into any game. Look, Sean, you mightn't I coach football down in Sydney, Australia, and where I'm always about respecting our opponent and not going into games with attitudes that are holier than thou. So anyway, I think you're getting some things mixed up, but that's what I think. And where were you pished, lad?
Yeah, he considered 6 beers in at that point. James did.
Uh,
Tony was saying Fred and Dre should practice like VD. Quick question though. I know we're running short on time. How are we doing?
yeah. Oh, we've got 10 minutes.
Oh, okay. Just all right. If I forget, don't be afraid to.
Yeah, no, I've got 10 minutes. Well, 9 minutes now.
Okay, there you go. So Tony, elaborate. I don't know what you mean. Practice like VD. Was he protected in practice, or I don't know what that means. So you both don't think if Brock consistently plays this level, he doesn't matter. Look, his limits don't matter if he can become an elite quarterback. If he's not elite, then I think you have a hard time winning more than one Super Bowl. If you look through history, non-elite quarterbacks win one about every 8 years, maybe every 9 years in the last 40 years. You got Jim McMahon, you got Trent Dilfer, you got Brad Johnson, and you got Nick Foles. And none of them happened on the same team. So you got a 1 in 8 chance out of 32 every year, whatever those odds are. So 8 times 32, you're talking like a 1 in 400, 1 in 500 chance of winning the Super Bowl with a non-elite quarterback. If you want to win 2, it's never been done in history with a non-elite quarterback. So that's what I'm saying. And so can he become elite? Yes. Like he's limited arm, limited height, limited top speed. None of those are the most important thing. None of those are deal breakers by themselves. Even altogether, it's not a for sure deal breaker. It can be done. It's just very, very difficult. Will he? We'll see. So I'm leaving the door open. I'm not saying it can't happen. I don't think it will. If I was betting, I sure as hell wouldn't bet on it without some really tall odds.
I love Brock Purdy, Sean. I love him. I think his confidence, his swagger, his game processing, the way that he sees the field is elite. All of those things are elite. There's just some physical limitations. So, and that's I don't think that's a bad thing to have those opinions.
Yeah, and the only physical trait where Brock Purdy is elite is quickness. I just wish there was more. I wish he was taller. I wish he had a bigger arm. I wish he was faster. But we don't always get what we want. I mean, the mental side is the most important thing. But you can have all the mentals you want if you can't execute. That doesn't do any good either. So clearly, Brock can execute short and medium against good teams, but against the great teams, I don't know. Like the Cowboys, I'm saying if Pollard doesn't go down and Diggs doesn't drop that interception, we might have lost the Cowboys. And we clearly lost the Eagles. And I'm not going to blame Brock 100% for his injury, but I'm not going to let him off 100% either. I'm going to say he was partially to blame for his injury. He was the one playing, and he didn't even really look at Hassan Reddick coming his way. Part of that was you probably didn't hear McGlinchey or Croft yell fire or whatever their word is they scream to let the quarterback know that their guy is coming loose. But I'm not going to absolve him completely of it. Brock is a point guard, doesn't need to throw deep. Yeah, you don't need to get to the NFC Championship game, but we want rings and banners, and we haven't flown any yet. So it hasn't been proved that this can win, and it didn't win in Atlanta either, folks. Granted, their D was nothing like ours. I will give you that. But 0 rings with this point. And Matt Ryan had he had a cannon compared to Purdy. Let's just say it. He didn't have a cannon overall, but it was a strong enough arm to nail deep throws quite a lot. So quite a bit more. Randy said, "Ich einen Hamburger." He says, "I'm a hamburger." I like it. All right, there you go. Little levity for the chat. Sean says, I don't think anyone wanted to focus on Brock being mid except for Ted. Haha. He saw positive about Brock and he shoehorned it in. I'm not the only one saying it, Sean John. So I may have been one of the first, but I'm not the only one. Really, I was still thinking Kyle wasn't sold on Purdy. I thought he was the best for a system right now, but he would move off him sooner or later. I mean, there's no one to move off him to unless you're going to Darnold. So, or maybe Caleb Williams. I know Caleb wants to come play here, but chances of us getting to number 1 are slim and none. I would say.
I think Kyle really likes Brock, and I do too. I think Kyle loves. I think he loves him, and he does exactly what he says he wants him to do. So
I'm a Purdy file, Randy. I like Purdy. I'm just not a Purdvert. I just don't, say he's awesome or amazing or Mahomes, Montana, Brady. At least not yet. He could be, but no, he'll never be Mahomes. Let's be honest. But he could be more like Montana or Brady that had some physical limitations. It's just they had less physical limitations, and they played in an era where you just got the knocked out of you all the time. Purdy wouldn't have lasted a minute back then, but it isn't then. So we'll see. There was once a guy named Brock. He was known for throwing the rock mid because of the talent he's got. You can see the size of his. Yeah, it's a good one. I like that.
Yeah, that's right. The James, you might. I don't know what. Can we just go back to what James was saying? Then we'll get on to Sean John.
Yeah.
I don't know if you weren't, James, if I mentioned it last time, but I spent some time in London. I lived with a guy, a Watford supporter. We used to go to the Rookery all the time, watch football. The chants are fantastic. And yes, you have shown that you do have the English football chant in you. Sorry, let's move on to Sean. I want to hear what Sean's got to say.
I don't know. You're saying that all but 3 NFL teams are pitiful. That's not disrespect. It's just the way I feel. There's only a few quality teams that are Super Bowl teams we play this year. In my opinion, it's the Cowboys, Eagles, and Bengals, and all the rest. I just don't see them making it to the Super Bowl. Maybe one will jump up and prove me wrong. And in addition to that, I would add the Bills, who we don't play. I would add the Jets, maybe, who we don't play. I've had them right there.
We'll find out.
Yeah. And other than that, I just don't think there's a lot of Super Bowl squads in the NFL right now. I just don't. There's usually only about 4 or 5 anyways, maybe 6. So that's not unusual.
It's not unusual.
No, I'm going to enjoy the wins, and I'm not disrespecting the teams. They're doing, what they can with what they got. They just don't have what we have. Look at our core of players. We have just all pro city. All pro city.
The other thing is that it's happening down here in our national competition, our national football competition. There's 2 teams that can win it. It's the Broncos and the Panthers, the Penrith Panthers and the Brisbane Broncos. And everyone said that from about mid-season. So it's not just an NFL thing.
There you go. Tony clarified. He said VD was playing on the Jugs machine, so we need that for Dre and Fred, so they don't drop interceptions. I think the juggling's a good thing to go with that too, though. I think we're a little bit out of time. Just really want to call out Riddy Music, who's in the house too. Said we got a locker room full of A kickers. I agree. What up? Good for saying for Randy Daytona. Said knew we were going to run it down the Steelers throw with accurate passing. This team is oiled machine, incredibly professional, fast, efficient. Yeah, no, this team is great. This 100%. Is a super team. This is a super team, and I just want a super QB to go with it. I hope Purdy can be that. I just have my doubts, and we may not need it. It's possible to win Super Bowls, and it's possible like Purdy could be it, and we could win it without him being it. It's just a lot. Things have to fall. Be pretty perfect.
It's week 1
for that to happen, as I tweeted today. So,
but it's week 1, Ted. It's TBC. We can't be talking about disrespecting teams and all that sort of stuff, that we're saying the wrong things when it's week 1. Come on, man. It's week 1.
Yeah, exactly. Well, as far as week 2, I mean, I'm predicting we beat the Rams. It sounds like you are too.
Yeah.
Pedro. Well, good. Well, then we'll meet up here next Monday at 3 p.m. Is that the better start time for you?
Yeah, 3 p.m. if that's cool with you. 8 o'clock.
Pacific. Yeah, that's fine.
Let's do it then.
It gives us time. It gives us lots of time. Looks like you've got maybe a little over an hour, and I've got up to 2 hours if you ever have that much on that type of day. So we'll see. And I'll just say thanks everybody for tuning in.
And thanks to Sean, man. I like the debate's good. Let's do it.
Yeah, I welcome dissenting opinions as long as you're respectful. Do it. Bring it. It helps us to grow. I don't ever want to spread bad information. So if you think I'm saying something wrong, tell me, and let's duke it out. That's what this is all about. It's a lot of fun, and it's just sports banter, nothing personal. And let's have some fun. Peace, and go Niners.
going on?